Shalom, my friends. Well, Dr. Michael Brown has admitted that he has banned me from his channel from commenting. I've known this for years, but Pepe, our friend from our previous video, was the video that I made here. Actually, I believe it was this video where we discussed Pepe more in detail. He was challenging the idea that, he was saying that he wasn't able to comment on other counter-missionary channels, so I like to give more free range on mine, but he called in and asked this question to Dr. Brown on his Line of Fire show. So let's get right into it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Let us go over to Pepe in Miami, Florida. Welcome to the Line of Fire.
Good afternoon, Dr. Brown.
Hey.
I appreciate what you do, okay?
Well, thank you.
I have a question, because I comment a lot on Yisrael's page, and I was telling him that Tobias Singer censors my comments.
Yeah.
And then he tells me that you censor his comments, so we're equal.
So, yeah, look, Pepe, you were saying that... that you were being censored, and I said, look, I give you the opportunity, right, just to give you guys context. I said to Pepe, like, look, on my channel, you can comment all you want. I'm not going to censor your comments. And then also, I'm banned from commenting on Dr. Brown's channel. So within that context, I can speak on that, and I can sleep well at night. So anyway...
and also, he's talking about you failing to answer Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal's video.
Oh, no. Rabbi Blumenthal and I have exchanged literally thousands of pages of emails.
So, Pepe, as I discussed with you, that wasn't what I was trying to say in my videos. I wasn't saying that Dr. Brown and Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal don't interact. I was saying that specifically regarding Contra Brown, which was an article that Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal, that's what I said in this video, the one rabbi who Dr. Michael Brown fears the most, right? In that video, I didn't say that they don't interact anymore. What I said was, in the video, this was, it's called, It's Been 4 Years and still no response from Dr. Michael Brown. Well, this was 13 years ago, right? So that would put that roughly in the year 2011, right? Around the year 2011. So that was a long time ago, and still there has been no response from Dr. Brown. And then even when the video was made, right, 4 years prior to that would put us in 2007. So Dr. Brown has verbally committed for over a decade to respond to an article that systematically refutes his books, right? That's what I was saying. I wasn't saying that he didn't respond to a video. So making that very clear, Pepe, that's what we're trying to get Dr. Brown to do.
We were in touch as recently as a couple of weeks ago when he shot me a YouTube video he thought I'd be interested in. We have interacted in massive depth. In fact, if we can get things properly edited, we have over 600-page exchange leading up to Isaiah 53 that we just want to release free to the public.
I would love to see that, Dr. Brown, but that's the issue, is that Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal in this video was asking specifically for a written response to what he wrote, comprehensively refuting your book series, right? Answering Jewish objections to Jesus. But you have still yet to publish or show any response to that in writing. And Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal, even though initially in this video he said he wasn't going to engage in a debate, like through video, he did entertain this here. So you did have, even though initially he said he wasn't going to do that. So he even he did more than he said he was going to do to respond in writing. Initially he said he wasn't going to respond in video, and you did have a video interaction, which, to my understand, Dr. Brown, that that he actually ended that video interaction. So whatever, you can make of that what you will, but Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal is very, very open to a dialogue. And what I'm saying, that was the point of this video, to say that Dr. Brown is clearly scared of Rabbi Blumenthal because he's not responding to his material. So that was my point.
We did a video series interacting back and forth where we both published on the same day a video at a prescribed length, and then we posted second part, third part, and then we both misunderstood some things. I apologized to him, he apologized to me in terms of communication we had. This is all public and out.
Yeah, and I acknowledge that in the video, Pepe. So when you asked him the question on the show, it wasn't, you don't respond to Rabbi Blumenthal privately or, through video content, right? That wasn't what I was accusing Dr. Brown of. I was accusing Dr. Brown of specifically not interacting with this written document refuting Dr. Brown's book series. Hope that's crystal clear now, because it should have been when I made this video, and I was very clear about that.
But if I think I know who the fellow is that you goes by that name, Yehuda Israel.
Oh, you think? I mean, we've been interacting for years, Dr. Brown. Like, you know who I am. Like, if you go back on my channel, like, we've been the first video on my channel, which was 10 years ago, is when I met Dr. Brown in person. So yeah, I've known Dr. Brown for a very long time. I've called into his show multiple times. You can see the videos over the years. We have been interacting for over a decade. So he knows who I am.
I actually gave him a set of answering Jewish objections to Jesus years and years ago.
So what he sent me, the first time I called into a show, I think it was back in 2012, he gave me a copy of The Real Kosher Jesus, which was sort of it was like a summary of everything that he wrote in his 5-book series, Answering Jewish Objections to Jesus. So what I did was I read through the book, and I was interacting with him on his social media, and that's when I initially got banned, because I was coming up with refutations specifically to what he wrote, right? And this was, I can't remember if I knew about Contra Brown at the time or not. I think I took some inspiration from it at for sure at some point, because it's a wonderful article. Check it out, And it refutes Dr. Brown. And I mean, that's why I'm making this channel anyway. But you see, it was originally published in 2012. What I find interesting about this is really what Real Kosher Jesus was. It was a response to Rabbi Shmuley Beteach's infamous book called Kosher Jesus, right? Which got a lot of, interesting mixed reviews and attention from Jews and Christians and that sort of thing. So Dr. Brown really jumped at the opportunity to make a quote-unquote response to Rabbi Shmuley Beteach's book, Kosher Jesus. Now, what I find interesting about that is in this video, which was 13 years ago, right, Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal, this was back in 2011 when this video was, so it's 2024 now. 13 years ago was around 2011. But in the video, it says it's been 4 years and still no response from Dr. Brown, which means that puts when Contra Brown was written was actually 2007, roughly. So Dr. Brown is claiming, well, in this video exchange, right? So we focused on this earlier, right? Dr. Brown actually, so let's get a little timeline going here. So Dr. Brown responded on this video. He said, Rabbi Blumenthal, thanks for taking the time to make the video to address your concerns. God willing, I'll be responding by video as well in the coming days. So that's what Dr. Brown was referring to. This was 7 years ago when they did this video exchange, making plain why I believe you're in error. As always, my radio show is wide open and you can call in any time. And of course, my invitation for a formal, moderated, in-depth debate stands as well. I honor you as a fellow Jew and would consider it a privilege to address our differences in depth face-to-face before a live audience, preferably with the live internet feed as well. Let the whole Jewish world listen, evaluate, and learn. Dr. Brown, I would love to take you up on the challenge. But of course, I've called into the show and he doesn't want to do that. Anyway, Yisroel Blumenthal is interacting with him in a video format, despite the fact that initially he said he wasn't going to. So he's at least granted you that. So here is Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal's response Dr. Brown, I am looking forward to your video reply. I've been waiting a long time for answers to these and other questions. I've also been waiting a long time for you to respond to what you had assured me that you will respond in writing. I refer here to Contra Brown, the elephant in the suit, and you dropped the ball in the written debate that we were having on your blog. May I remind you that I proposed a debate with you on your radio show and me in writing, right? Wait, it says, may I remind you that I proposed a debate with you talking on your radio show and me responding in writing. This was back in 2013, right? So I just find it interesting. It was actually even prior to that because, Contra Brown was written prior to that. But all of this is not very relevant. The whole Jewish world has all the information they need to make an educated decision. They can read, evaluate, and learn. And then he posts these two articles discussing, what he's discussed with Dr. Brown, right? The elephant in the suit is another article that Yisroel Blumenthal used to refute Dr. Brown. So going back to this. And you can read the whole, I know it's too long, didn't read. So I'll just read this initial response from Dr. Brown. Rabbi Blumenthal, yes, as I stated to you many times, I believe your responses to my writings provided me with excellent opportunities to proclaim. Oh, Jesus says, okay. But two things hindered me from finishing the responses so far. So here's his first excuse for not responding in writing to an article that over a decade ago was made a challenge, right? My writing schedule has been too overwhelmingly intense for years now with constant deadlines, so I haven't been able to respond to you with another prominent counter-missionary rabbi, as well as Christians who have written whole books challenging me on various points. But at some point, I do hope to complete my rebuttals. It's still not happened. That's the issue. It's been over... My goodness, like, it's absurd, right? So it's clear that Dr. Brown doesn't really care for responding to this. So this is unfortunate. But to date, the only real request I have to receive, I received to complete my rebuttals from counter missionaries is the fact that I have told me that as long as I don't write rebuttals, it gives the impression that they're not important. So they want me to complete the writings for their sake. How ironic. In all these writings, in all the years that your writings have been out, I've received less than 5 requests from Jewish believers to answer your writings. Even when I assigned Contra Brown to seminary class to respond in a paper, none of them came with any further questions. So in candor, it's not a pressing need. So it was pressing, though, for him to respond to Shmuley Bateach's book, the Kosher Jesus, right? That was in 2012, as we saw. Like, that's when Kosher Jesus came out. And even though it was already on the queue, right, for him to respond to Contra Brown, because remember, this came out in 2007, he never addressed it. He was more concerned with writing a book response to Shmuley Bateach in the Kosher Jesus book. Okay. It's just silly at this point, But you have a lot of people in, for example, it says, Jews for Judaism, Dr. Brown, you can count on me as the 6th person who wants you to do a response to the rabbi, and it's been years now, and you've been avoiding him. To be honest, he shreds your 5-volume book to pieces, and I think to resurrect your book, you really need to reply to him in writing. So, exactly. So Dr. Brown just completely ignores this. So you can see this comment exchange. I'm not going to go through it in detail. You guys can see it. This is the video. Unanswered. Dr. Michael Brown asked Dr. Brown. So you can look through the comment thread and make your own decision as to whether or not Dr. Brown has been avoiding something for over a decade regarding Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal's writings, Contra Brown and the elephant in the suit. So let's see. Let's see if Dr. Brown makes good on his promise.
I don't personally monitor most of our sites, but if someone persistently posts falsehoods and is doing this in an obnoxious way, sometimes the comment will be deleted. But if they do it persistently, they'll get blocked. In other words, if someone is posting falsehoods about you, and we see false attacks about another believer or something like that, or even falsehoods about a Rabbi Blumenthal, a learned rabbi, devoted rabbi, ultra-Orthodox, and a counter-missionary. If we saw them attacking Rabbi Blumenthal falsely, we'd block that. On the flip side, just go through our YouTube page and look at how many tens of thousands, literally, how many tens of thousands of comments are there that differ with my position all the time, every day. Look on all of our social media pages, because by God's grace, we've got big followings. And I don't examine them, but when I do look at it, there's stuff differing with me by the second. Have at it, as long as you don't violate our guidelines. Obviously, he's violated the guidelines, and that's why he's been blocked. As for Rabbi Singh, unfortunately, I've heard that if you differ, you get blocked. Hey, friends, the truth will set us free. We run to it, not from it.
So, look, once again, Pepe, this is, just to address that. My channel, you can comment all you want. I'm not going to block you, right? The issue here is that Dr. Brown, right, if you're going to complain about other counter-missionary channels blocking you, that's their prerogative. I don't really care. I've been challenging Dr. Brown for years. I call into his radio show. I don't have any fear about this, right? Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal doesn't have any fear to interact with him. So if you want to pick specific counter-missionaries who you have a beef with, it doesn't make any difference to me, because I'm the one that is challenging Dr. Brown. Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal is the one that is challenging Dr. Brown. And he's not making good on either of those. He didn't promise me a debate. He did promise Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal a written debate. So that's where I'm going with this. Is if you want to say that you have a problem with other counter-missionaries because they're not interacting with Dr. Brown in the way that you want them to, here's Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal. He does. That's why I made the video. And if you have a problem with the way, other counter-missionaries censor you, I don't censor you, and I offer the debate that you want with Dr. Brown, yet Dr. Brown has denied interacting with me in such a way. So, and I've read his books, right? He didn't give me an entire book series. He gave me, the Real Kosher Jesus he gave me, and then he also gave me volume 2 when I met him in person, when we met years ago. He gave me volume 2. So I have a knowledge of Dr. Brown's information. I'm willing to debate it, live in a moderated debate with Dr. Brown, just like he challenged Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal. I'm here to do it. But he still has not made good on his promise to Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal that he would respond to Contra Brown in writing, which dates back all the way to 2007. Yet he had time to respond to Rabbi Shmuley Bateach's Kosher Jesus book back in 2012, which he made in the same year that Kosher Jesus came out in 2012. So he clearly doesn't have, that's why I made this video saying that he's afraid of Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal. He responds to everyone else, and then he makes excuses saying nobody wants to read it. Of course I think it's important. That's why I'm making this, so that we can really get Dr. Brown to follow through with what he claims he was going to respond to all those years ago. Whether or not he thinks it's important, I think it's out of fear, because Rabbi Yisroel Blumenthal is the rabbi who Dr. Brown fears the most. Prove me wrong, Dr. Brown. Respond to Rabbi Blumenthal's articles as you promised over a decade ago, nearly 2 decades ago at this point. So come on. Make good on your promise. Anyway, Shalom Aleichem. I hope this video has been a blessing to you. Shalom Aleichem.